Mira pressed a hand to her swollen belly as Derek's voice echoed through their spacious living room. He'd just slid his phone into his pocket, cheeks flushed with satisfaction. "Sasha needs a favor," he said, pacing. "A client emergency. I told her you'd help." Mira frowned, wincing as another sharp twinge cut through her lower back. 8 months pregnant, she was already exhausted by sunrise. "Cleaning," she echoed, voice tired. Derek's grin was too confident. "Just her floors. You're good at that. She's a friend of mine." Myra's stomach fluttered. "You mean your mistress?" He halted, chest rising and falling quickly. "Sasha's not my mistress," he protested. "Just a client. Professional relationship." She lifted an eyebrow. "Professional." She thought of the silk dresses Sasha wore in Derek's glossy business photos, the expensive perfumes, the way Sasha's name popped up in messages dripping with compliments too intimate for a mere business partner. Derek ran a hand through his hair. "Look, she's in a bind. It's no big deal. Half an hour of your time, and you'll be home by lunchtime." Myra's eyes stung. "And what about me? What about our baby?" He stepped forward, gently cupping her cheek. She recoiled at the heat of his hand. "You'll be fine. You stay home all day anyway." At those words, anger bubbled in her chest, anger sharpened by growing life inside her. "I'm not here for decoration," she snapped. Derek's face hardened. "You wanted to be a stay-at-home wife. You get to help now." Myra's breath caught. She closed her eyes, summoning calm. He always did this, twisting her sacrifices into obligations. At 8 months pregnant, she deserved support, not more chores. Yet he was already walking toward the door, checking his watch. "I'll drop you off," he said over his shoulder. "Try to look cheerful." A mix of fury and helplessness surged through Mira. She retrieved her coat, forcing on a smile that tasted like tears. "Fine," she muttered. Outside, the limousine idled. Sasha's reflection flickered in tinted windows, momentarily red as the sunset caught the glass. Mira climbed in, wincing as the leather seat pressed her belly. The driver nodded, and the car glided away. Inside, Mira clutched her purse, knuckles white. This was supposed to be a kind gesture for a friend, she told herself. He meant it that way, right? But as the city lights blurred past, her heart hardened. He didn't see her suffering. She was just an accessory he could use. A knot formed in her throat. She would do it for the baby. But she knew this favor was more than a favor. It was a test of her resilience. And in her heart, she vowed she would endure. The building loomed ahead, its hallways gleaming with cold efficiency. Mira exhaled, steeling herself as she stepped into Sasha's world. And as the door closed behind her, she realized this wasn't just cleaning. It was humiliation. The door swung open before Mira could knock. A pair of long legs and designer pumps appeared first, followed by Sasha herself, skin glowing like polished mahogany, eyes cool as steel. "You're early," Sasha said, voice silky. She glanced down at Myra's rounded belly, amusement twisting her lips. "Thought you couldn't make it." Mira swallowed, arms wrapping protectively around herself. "Derek said you needed help." Sasha stepped aside, revealing an immaculate apartment. Marble floors gleamed, glass surfaces reflected the afternoon sun. "Come in." She swept past Mira without offering a hand. Mira entered, shoulders stiff. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of a designer air purifier. Sasha flicked it off with a remote. "I have this on all day," Sasha said, voice light. "Allergies." She dropped the remote on a console table. "Make yourself useful." Myra's stomach nodded. She glanced at a stack of cleaning supplies, a spray bottle with green liquid, 2 sponges, a mop leaning in the corner. "I can start with a foyer?" "Where else?" Sasha folded her arms, leaning against a marble column. "I need the whole place spotless." Mira knelt, squeezing spray onto the floor. Her knees protested. Each bend sent a jolt through her pelvis. She steadied herself and began scrubbing. Sasha flipped through her phone, lips curving into a slow smile. "My husband never cared about floors," she said, voice casual. "But I always notice who does." Mira froze, sponge halfway over the tile. Her heart thudded. "You're not married to Derek," she said, voice trembling. You work together. That's it. Sasha laughed, a sound with no warmth. Derek and I have never slept together. She lied, eyes flashing amusement. He's a client, remember? Myra's throat tightened. She pressed down harder on the sponge, suds bubbling. Right. Sasha turned away, stepping into the living room. Make sure you get the scuff marks by the couch. Mira crawled across the floor, her shirt riding up, belly brushing against the cool tile. Sweat beaded on her forehead. She glanced up at Sasha's heels as they clicked toward the study door. Are you okay? Sasha called from behind the closed door. Don't overdo it. Myra's back ached. She didn't want pity. She nodded, though no one saw. She resumed scrubbing, gritting her teeth as her arms burned. Minutes passed in silence. The only sounds were her rag scratching tile, Sasha's heels tapping behind doors, and Myra's ragged breathing. When she paused to rest, she stared at her reflection in the polished floor. 8 months pregnant and kneeling for someone who refused to meet her eyes. She rose slowly, hand pressed to the wall to steady herself. Sasha materialized behind her again. Impressive stamina, she said softly, tone dangerous. Myra's heart stuttered. She spun around. Sasha's dark eyes studied her flanks, her swollen belly, strained features. You should rest, Sasha whispered. But you chose this. Mira swallowed. I don't get to choose. Sasha shrugged. You did. With that, Sasha swept into the study. Mira inhaled sharply. The study door clicked shut. Alone in the silent foyer, Mira felt the first prickles of tears. Some favors come with a cost, and she was paying in sweat, pain, and pride. Myra's fingers shook as she unscrewed the bleach bottle cap. The chemical sting filled her lungs, making her cough. 8 months pregnant, even harsh smells made her queasy. Yet here she was, bleach in one hand, sponge in the other, scrubbing bathroom tiles, while Sasha lounged on a plush ottoman. You know, Sasha remarked, flicking through a Vogue magazine. They say bleach is the secret to a pristine home. She tossed the magazine onto a glass side table. But it doesn't work miracles on people. Mira ignored the barb, focusing on the grout lines turning from dull gray to bright white. Her back arched as she leaned forward, stomach pressing into her thighs. A sharp pang made her wince. Sasha set the magazine aside, stretching languidly. You should sit, she suggested, voice silky. I can finish this. Mira paused, bleach dripping off her sponge. I'm fine. Sasha raised an eyebrow. You don't look fine. Mira met her gaze. I volunteered. Her voice was small. A flicker of amusement, or was it contempt? Crossed Sasha's lips. She stood and approached Mira, heels clicking. You volunteered for humiliation, she said softly. Myra's cheeks heated. I volunteered to help. Oh, you're very helpful. Sasha leaned down, fingers grazing Myra's damp hair unconsciously. But no one asked you to grovel. Myra's throat tightened. She squeezed her eyes shut, willing the tears away. I'm not groveling. Sasha withdrew her hand, stepping back. Then why are you here? Mira lifted her chin. Because I love my husband. Sasha laughed, a cruel sound. Your husband barely notices you. She tapped Myra's shoulder. He notices me. Mira stiffened. This is supposed to be professional. Sasha shook her head. He told me you were desperate to help, desperate to feel useful. The words burned. Myra's jaw clenched. She set down the sponge and rose. Her knees protesting every movement. She straightened, wiping bleach from her hands on her jeans. Sasha watched, unblinking. You're wasted on him, she said, voice low. You should know your worth. Myra's eyes snapped open. My worth isn't measured by someone else. Sasha's lips curved. Then show me. With that, Sasha strode away toward the bedroom. Mira stood alone, bleach scent swirling around her. She pressed a hand to her belly, feeling the baby's gentle kicks. A surge of protectiveness warmed her. She might be exhausted, humiliated, and alone in this sterile apartment, but she wasn't powerless. Not anymore. Mira picked up her sponge again, but this time she'd scrub every inch with intention. Proof that her strength wasn't defined by someone else's comments. She set to work. Mira paused at the living room threshold, surveying the gleaming marble tiles. She'd worked until her arms ached, sweat beading on her forehead. Just a few more spots, she thought. Sasha emerged from the bathroom, adjusting her designer blouse. You missed a spot under the couch. Myra's heart sank. She knelt and peered beneath the sleek black couch. A faint smudge marked the marble surface. Here? Mira asked, voice steady. Sasha nodded. There. Mira reached her hand under the couch. The cool floor met her palm. She scrubbed, twisting her wrist awkwardly to reach the stain. A lazy fan above her hummed. Through the window, afternoon light spilled across the room in gold stripes. Myra's back arched as she pushed deeper under the couch. You know, Sasha said, strolling closer, I've always admired people who take pride in their work. Mira froze. Was that praise? She paused, sponge hovering. Sasha sat on the couch's edge, legs crossed. But pride can be misplaced. Mira withdrew her sponge, standing slowly, squeezing the water out. She tossed it into a bucket. What do you mean? Sasha smiled, eyes locked on Myra's belly. You're proud of being his wife, right? Mira bristled. Yes. Sasha tilted her head. Yet you scrub floors for me, while he ignores you. Myra's breath hitched. She bit her lip. He's busy. Sasha laughed softly. Busy with me. Mira sank onto the couch's edge opposite Sasha, hands on her knees. Why are you doing this? Sasha leaned forward. Doing what? Putting me through this. Sasha's gaze flicked to the spattered marble. Testing you. Testing me. Myra's voice quivered. Sasha shrugged. I wanted to see what you'd endure for him. Myra's cheeks flushed. He never asked me this. Sasha's lips curled. He told me. He told me all about you. Your sacrifices. Your patience. Your loyalty. Myra's eyes narrowed. And you believe him? Of course, Sasha said emphatically. He's a good man. Tears pricked Myra's eyes. She stood abruptly, clutching her belly. The room spun. Sasha leaped up, concern as fluid as her cruelty. Are you okay? Mira ignored her. She teetered on unsteady legs, breathing hard. I'm fine, she gasped. Sasha hovered. Sit down. Mira shook her head, gathering strength. No. Her voice trembled, but she stood tall. I'm done. Sasha's brow furrowed. Done. Mira reached for her purse on a side table. Yes. She strode toward the door. Behind her, Sasha's smile faltered. Mira paused at the threshold. Thank you for the workout, she said quietly. Then she turned and left, leaving Sasha alone with the spotless floor. The day after the cleaning debacle, Mira huddled on the couch in her own living room, arms wrapped around her pregnant belly. She'd refused Derek's calls, tears still fresh on her cheeks. Her gaze drifted to the nursery corner. Empty, just like his promises. Her phone buzzed. A text from Derek. Please pick up. Let's talk. She ignored it. Then another. I'm sorry. Come home. She stared at the screen. Then she opened the coat closet. Inside, jackets hung in a neat row. She hesitated, then pulled out Derek's favorite trench coat. She slipped her hand into a pocket and froze. There, nestled against the lining, was a small envelope. Myra's breath caught. She peeled it open. Inside lay a receipt, fancy stationery store. And clasped to it, a tube of cherry red lipstick. Her pulse thundered. Cherry red, the same shade Derek once claimed didn't suit her. Her mind raced. Sasha's taunts, Derek's coldness, the lipstick was a message. An admission. She closed her eyes and inhaled, the memory of Sasha's voice echoing. He notices me. Mira sank to the floor, coat slipping from her grasp. She pressed the receipt and lipstick to her chest. Derek's footsteps sounded in the hallway. The front door opened. He stepped in, eyes frantic. Mira, please. She held up the items. Explain this. His face blanched. Mira cut him off. You made me scrub floors for her. You lied, and you bought her gifts. He stammered. I'm sorry. Tears blurred Myra's vision. Save it. Derek took a step forward. Mira, I love you. She laughed bitterly. Love. He reached out. Please. Mira clutched the lipstick. The red gleamed like betrayal. She stood trembling. Don't touch me. He froze. Shame washed over his features. Mira backed toward the door. The crib can wait, she whispered. I need space. She walked past him, toward her car keys on the table. Derek sank onto the couch, eyes downcast. Mira paused at the threshold, turning back. I'll be back, she said softly, but on my terms. Then she stepped out, slamming the door behind her. Inside, Derek stared at the cherry-red tube, proof that some clues cannot be ignored. Mira stepped through the front door, elbows aching, hair damp with sweat. She dropped her keys onto the bowl by the entryway and paused. Silence. The apartment's gleaming surfaces reflected her fatigue. She swallowed, pressing a hand to her lower back as she shuffled toward the kitchen. Inside, a half-full wine glass sat on the counter. A plate of steaming rice and vegetable stew awaited. The aroma was familiar but hollow. She frowned. Derek was on the phone, pacing the living room. Laughter drifted through the open floor plan. Warm and confident, not hers. Mira perched at the small dining table, stroking her belly. Dinner, she called softly. Derek paused mid-laugh and glanced her direction. Yeah, dinner, he said, voice casual. Help yourself. She lifted the glass and sniffed. The wine was his favorite, the label foreign and expensive. He rarely drank at home anymore. She set it back down and grabbed a spoon. He returned to the sofa, phone pressed to his ear. Yes, the quarters figures look good. Yes, send those reports by tonight. Thanks. He hung up and exhaled heavily. Long day, huh? She forced a smile, scooping stew onto her spoon. Yeah. He reached for the wine glass. She dropped her gaze. She couldn't remember the last time they shared a proper conversation. The kitchen buzzed with unspoken words. Mira, he said suddenly. Are you okay? She looked at her plate. The stew was bland, under-seasoned. Her cooking, she realized. She swallowed. I'm fine, she replied. He set his glass down. You didn't even taste the food. She shrugged. Just tired. He studied her. Did Sasha appreciate your help today? Her heart tightened. Yes, she did. He leaned back. Good. Silence lapsed. The only sounds, the clink of her spoon on the bowl, the hum of the refrigerator. He exhaled. We need to talk. She froze mid-bite. About. He hesitated. About everything. She swallowed the stew. Not tonight. His jaw clenched. Not tonight? He echoed. She stood slowly, chair scraping. I should rest. He rose, startled. We can talk after you eat. She met his eyes. I'm done eating. He reached out, but she stepped back. Mira. She turned away. Tears pricked. He didn't understand her exhaustion. Physical, emotional, spiritual. She slung the spoon into the sink and walked toward the hallway. He followed. Where are you going? Up, she said softly. To bed. He grabbed her arm. Not like this. She yanked free. I need space. You don't listen. He frowned. I'm listening now. She paused in the hallway, hand on door frame. Too little, too late. He watched her, chest rising and falling. Please. She shook her head and pushed past him, disappearing into their bedroom. The door clicked shut. She remembered the first dinner she had cooked for him. Candles flickering on the table, laughter like music in their ears. He'd praised every bite, kissed her careworn forehead, whispered gratitude. Those nights were distant now, eclipsed by deals, late calls, and Sasha's presence. Now, the only warmth came from the baby stirring in her womb. The apartment's emptiness felt heavier than any full stomach. He stood in the silent apartment, the only proof of his wife, remaining her empty plate. Rice and stew congealing in the bowl, untouched napkin crumpled beside it. Guilt knotted his stomach, but he remained rooted. Above, Mira lay on the bed, arms wrapped around her legs, sobs muffled into the pillow. She felt small, abandoned, and under the sterile lights, their marriage seemed more fragile than ever. Tomorrow promised uncertainty, but she still held onto fragile hope. Mira awoke to sunlight slanting across the bedroom, a dull ache throbbing in her back. She blinked, disoriented. Memories of Sasha's apartment returned like a bad dream. Holding the baby bump, she swung her legs over the side of the bed and slipped into slippers. At the door, her phone vibrated. She glanced at the screen. A message from Derek. "He needs you today." Sasha's floors again. Her chest tightened. The plan was clear. Stand her ground. She typed back. No, hit send. Derek's reply appeared seconds later. "Please. For me," accompanied by a pleading emoji. She exhaled. The pleading used to be reserved for gestures of love. Now it felt like another demand. She pocketed the phone and trudged to the bathroom. After a quick shower, she selected a loose sweater and maternity leggings. She splashed her face, stared at the reflection of dark circles under her eyes. These days, she saw exhaustion before anything else. Yet she dressed smartly, straightening her back. No humiliation today. She descended to the living room. Derek sat on the edge of the sofa. His phone lay face down. He looked up, hope flickering in his eyes. "You said no," he murmured. She perched on the chair across from him. "No." He exhaled. "You have to go." She raised an eyebrow. "I don't." He frowned. "Mira." "No," she repeated. "I won't do it again." His jaw tightened. "She really appreciated your help." "I'm not her help," Mira said. "I'm your wife." He stood, shadowing her. "You just stay home and do nothing anyway." His voice cracked on nothing. Pain sliced through Myra's chest. "I do a lot around here." She rose, clutching the back of the chair. "I carry a life. I cook. I run this household." Derek's shoulders slumped. "Being pregnant is not a job, Mira." Her anger flared. "It's the hardest thing I'll ever do." She pressed a hand to her belly. "Do you understand?" He hesitated, guilt staining his features. "No. You're sending me back to her apartment?" she asked, voice trembling. "After what she said. After how you treated me." He looked down. "I thought." "You thought what?" she challenged. He ran a hand through his hair. "I thought I needed to keep both of you happy." Myra's laugh was sharp. "You can't have both." He gazed at her, eyes full of regret. "I screwed up." "Do you hear how that sounds?" she asked softly. "Screwed up. It's my dignity, Derek." He took a step closer. "I'm sorry." She shook her head, stepping back. "Sorry doesn't fix things." He sank to the sofa, burying his face in his hands. "What do you want me to do?" Mira folded her arms. Silence stretched between them. "I want you to stop being what she needs," she said finally. "Be what I need." Derek looked up, tears glinting. "I will." Mira eyed him. Doubt and hope warred in her chest. "Then let's start here. No more cleaning for her." He nodded vigorously. "No more." She exhaled. "Okay." She retrieved her phone. "Text Sasha I'm done." He blinked. "Here." He pointed at the phone. She nodded. "Yes." He reached forward and handed it over. She opened Sasha's chat and typed, "I won't come back. Don't ask." She paused and hit send. Derek watched her. "Thank you." Mira pocketed the phone. She felt lighter, but the scars remained. Her fingers trembled as she touched the phone screen, recalling Sasha's expression. The baby fluttered inside, reminding her of new beginnings beyond shame. She exhaled, bracing for what tomorrow would bring. 2 days later, rain pelted the city streets. Myra's reflection danced in the umbrella as she approached Sasha's building again. Thunder rumbled overhead, but Mira barely noticed. Every drop against the umbrella felt like a reminder of Sasha's cold stare, of Derek's indifference. Her fists tightened around the handle. Today wasn't about cleaning. It was about confronting her own pain. At the lobby, the concierge raised an eyebrow. "Here again?" he asked quietly. Mira offered a small smile. "Just picked up a package." She concealed the memento inside her purse. Steps echoed as she entered the elevator. The elevator's fluorescent light flickered as she rode up. Each floor passed like a countdown to her unresolved humiliation. Her pulse rattled in her ears. She focused on steadying her breath, willing herself to remain composed. Sasha's apartment door opened before she could ring the bell. Sasha stood framed in the doorway, arms folded, lips curved into a smirk. "Back so soon," she purred. Mira exhaled. "I'm not here to clean." "Oh." Sasha stepped aside, revealing the living room. "Then why are you here?" She gestured to a mop bucket and bleach. Myra's chest constricted. "I came to say I'm done." She held up her purse. "No more visits." Sasha's smirk widened. "Really? You surprised me." She sauntered toward Mira, heels clicking. "I thought you liked a challenge." Mira swallowed. "This challenge is over." Sasha reached inside and pulled out a dark red sponge from the bucket. "You wiped this floor so well last time." She tossed it at Myra's feet. "But I'm curious, can you do it without orders?" Mira bent to pick up the sponge, anger and shame warring. "I refuse." She straightened, setting the sponge down. "I'll leave now." Sasha laughed softly. "Already." Mira walked past her. Sasha grabbed her arm. "Mira." Her voice softened. "Wait." Mira paused. "What?" Sasha studied her face. Rain droplets clung to Myra's hair. "I wanted to thank you." Mira frowned. "Thank me." Sasha nodded. "For teaching me patience and humility." She took a step closer. "I underestimated you." Myra's breath caught. "Why now?" Sasha's gaze faltered. "Seeing you made me realize how little respect I have for myself." Mira blinked. "What are you saying?" Sasha shrugged. "I'm changing." She extended a hand. "Truce." Mira stared at the hand, memories flooding, scrubbing under the couch, bleach stinging her eyes, Sasha's mocking laughter. She hesitated, looking at Sasha's earnest face. "Truce," Mira echoed. Sasha smiled, brushing a damp strand from Myra's forehead. "Come in for coffee?" Mira took a step back. "No, thank you." Sasha nodded. "All right, but thank you." She closed the door gently. The echo faded. Mira stood alone in the hallway, rain tapping on the window. Her mind teemed with questions. What would Derek say? Could their marriage survive this upheaval? But deeper, she felt a spark, proof that she had worth beyond servitude. As she walked away, Mira pressed her hand against the cool glass of the elevator door. She watched Sasha's apartment door sag shut. For a moment, the rain slowed, as if nature paused to acknowledge her small victory. Then the downpour resumed, washing away her anger along with every drop. Mira closed her eyes and let the rhythm of the rain remind her of renewal. She slid into the elevator, watching the floors light up. For the first time in weeks, she felt something shift. The second scrub had not been about dirt. It had been about reclaiming herself. She stepped out onto the street, bare of fear, boldly ready to shape her own destiny. A week later, Mira walked through their empty apartment, every shadow a reminder of her absence. Derek had pleaded and promised change, but his apologies felt hollow. She needed truth. Taking a deep breath, she entered their bedroom, drawn to a faint scent. Warm amber mingled with jasmine. Her heart skipped. The perfume was familiar, not hers, nor any brand she owned. She followed the scent into the closet. Jackets shuffled on padded hangers. One sleeve brushed against her fingers and released a cloud of that scent. She blinked. She pulled the jacket free. On the inside pocket, a crumpled slip of paper peeped out. She unfolded it. A hotel receipt from last night. The name Cassandra. And a room number. Rage and sorrow mixed in her chest. She sank onto the bench by the window and pressed the paper against her lips. The baby kicked, as if protesting injustice. She rubbed her belly, drawing strength from the life inside. This wasn't just about him or her. It was about their future together as a family. Derek arrived moments later, unlocking the front door. He paused when he saw her, coat damp. "Mira." She rose, paper in hand. "What's this?" Her voice trembled. He frowned. "What is what?" She held up the receipt. "A hotel stay last night. For Cassandra." She watched his eyes widen. He ran a hand through his hair. "It's not what it looks like." Myra's laugh was brittle. "Not what it looks like. A hotel receipt and your favorite cologne." He stepped closer. "I was covering for you." She stared at him, confusion and hurt swirling. Covering for me? He placed a hand on her belly. You needed rest. You've been exhausted. She shook her head. Then why is there a receipt in your coat? Tears pricked. He exhaled. I took a client meeting. It ran late. Cassandra helped me with a sample for the nursery design. He sounded rehearsed. Myra's mind raced. Nursery design? Derek frowned. You told me you wanted help with themes. She's an interior designer. Shock rippled through her. Interior designer? He nodded. Yes. She's a friend. Myra lowered the receipt, watching him carefully. Then what about the cologne? He glanced at the jacket. I didn't want to bring it home. I sprayed her studio before I left. She recalled his texts about late design pitches. She took a step back. You didn't think to tell me? His shoulders sagged. I thought it was trivial. Myra looked around their room. The scent clung to every corner. Everything here smells like her. He reached out. I'll spray something else. She laughed softly. It's not about the smell. It's about trust. He closed his eyes. I know. Silence held them. The baby fluttered beneath her shirt. She folded the receipt carefully. I still hurt. He nodded, voice thick. I'm sorry. I'll earn it back. Myra exhaled. Show me. He stepped forward and embraced her. She felt his warmth. Not enough to erase the trail, but a start. As they parted, Myra gently pushed away, smoothing the front of her sweater. The perfume lingered in the air, but instead of pain, she felt cautious hope. He would need to prove he meant it every single day. Outside, the night sky shimmered with distant city lights. Myra reached for Derek's hand and intertwined fingers, a silent pact forming between them. The path ahead remained uncertain, but for the first time in weeks, she believed they might walk it together. Tonight, they would speak honestly for the first time under the soft moonlight. A soft morning light filtered through the nursery window, illuminating a bare corner where the crib should stand. Myra stood in the doorway, heart heavy. Today was the day. She and Derek had planned to assemble the crib together. It was supposed to symbolize hope. Instead, the room echoed with silence. Myra had woken hours ago, sleepless with anticipation. Each ache reminded her of the baby within. Today, at last, they would welcome a place of their own. Back in the living room, she found Derek on his laptop, fingers flying over the keys. The aroma of 2-day-old coffee lingered. Stacks of files and folders spilled across the coffee table. Myra, he said without looking up. About the nursery. She crossed her arms. Where's the crib? He hesitated. I ran into delays. I'll order it next week, I promise. She felt a cold fist clamp her chest. Next week, she echoed. Derek closed his laptop. There's an issue with availability. It's out of stock until end of the month. She bit her lip. We've been talking about this since I was 6 months pregnant. He exhaled. I know. I'm sorry. She felt a cyclone of relief and frustration. Relief that he had agreed. Frustration at how easily she had let him off the hook. She paced. Do you ever think about what I need? Or only what's convenient? He rose. I do think about you. I just got sidetracked. She stopped, staring at him. Sidetracked. Again. He ran a hand through his hair. I've been swamped with work. This quarter. She interrupted. And what about this quarter's most important project, our baby? He flinched. Our baby is a priority. Not this room, she whispered. It feels like nothing. He closed his eyes. That's not fair. She shook her head. Fair. When this house is ready for board meetings, but not for our child. He took a step toward her. I'll make it right. She looked at the empty corner. You always say that. He swallowed. I'll place an express order. It'll arrive in 2 days. She exhaled. Fine. He nodded swiftly. Great. Silence fell. Myra sank onto the sofa, hands cradling her belly. She pictured the crib assembled, white wood, soft blankets, the baby sleeping peacefully. She longed for that day. Derek closed the gap and sat beside her. I'm sorry, he said again. She turned to him. You've said that before. He pressed her hand. This time I mean it. She steadied his eyes. Vulnerability glimmered. A soft chime rang from the door. A delivery man peeked in with a box. "Delivery," he announced. Mira gasped and leapt up. "It's the crib." Derek hurried forward, smiling. "I can't believe it." She rushed to the box and knelt. Together, they unpacked wooden panels and hardware. Instructions lay inside. They laughed awkwardly as they read the diagram. Derek fumbled with the Allen wrench. Mira coached him gently. She nudged a panel into place. Together they steadied the frame. Every click of metal against metal felt like a victory. As they assembled the crib side by side, Mira felt a surge of possibility. Finally, her world would expand beyond pain and neglect. When the last screw clicked into place, she pressed her palm against the smooth rail. Her eyes glistened. "It's perfect." Derek wrapped an arm around her. "Our perfect beginning." They stood in the nursery, the empty corner filled at last. Hope settled between them, fragile and new. As daylight warmed the nursery, Mira felt their family beginning anew, one screw at a time. Mira lingered in the nursery doorway, tracing her fingers over the newly assembled crib's smooth white rails. The soft morning light made dust motes float like tiny dancers. A sense of calm washed over her, until her gaze fell on Derek's trench coat draped over the rocking chair. A chill ran through her. With a slow breath, she unfurled the coat and slipped her hand into the inner pocket. At first, she found only lint and a stray paperclip. Then her fingers brushed against a folded envelope. Her heart thudded. She retrieved it and unfolded the heavy ivory card, revealing a jewelry store receipt. "To S. With love." Beneath it lay a cherry-red lipstick tube. Myra's breath caught. That shade, he'd once said it wasn't her color. Her mind raced. A client meeting gone late? Or something more? She rose and carried the items to the kitchen, hands trembling as she placed them on the counter. The morning's calm shattered under the weight of betrayal. Her baby kicked, as if echoing her racing pulse. Moments later, Derek wandered in, yawning. He stopped when he saw the receipt and lipstick. His eyes widened. "Mira." She whirled, cheeks hot. "Explain this." Her voice was quiet but steel-edged. He ran a hand through his hair. "It's not what you think." "Oh." Mira picked up the receipt. "To S. Sasha." He exhaled sharply. It was a gift for an interior design consultation. Myra's laugh was hollow. A gift? At that price? She tapped the receipt. "And lipstick." He glanced at the lipstick tube. "I borrowed it, her favorite color. I thought we could use it as inspiration for the nursery palette." Her fingers tightened around the tube. "You hid it in your coat." He took a hesitant step toward her. "I didn't want you to see a surprise." "A surprise?" Mira repeated. "Or a secret?" He looked stricken. "I thought I was doing something nice." Her chest ached. "Nice for whom?" He swallowed. "For us." Mira pressed the lipstick to her lips, wincing at its cold plastic. "This feels like a joke." He reached out. "Mira, please." She stepped back, clutching the envelope and tube. "I need answers." He nodded, shame in his eyes. "I'll tell you everything." Mira exhaled. "Meet me at Sasha's apartment tonight. I want the full story, eyes open." Derek's face paled. "Tonight." She tucked the items into her purse. "Tonight." As she crossed the sunlit kitchen, the baby fluttered again, her own signal that change was coming. And Mira knew she would not leave Sasha's door without clarity and justice. Rain slicked the sidewalks as Mira waited under the building's awning. She clutched her purse, the envelope and lipstick inside like weapons. Each patter of raindrops on her umbrella reminded her that tonight she would confront not only Sasha, but the fragile truth of her marriage. Inside the lobby, the concierge offered a silent nod. Mira stepped into the elevator, heart pounding. The doors opened to Sasha's floor. Mira exhaled and raised her knuckles to the door. The door swung open before she could knock. Sasha stood framed in the hallway light, hair damp, eyes inscrutable. A slow, almost predatory smile curved her lips. "Mira," she purred. "Back so soon." Mira forced her shoulders to stay level. "We need to talk." Sasha's gaze flicked to the purse at Myra's side. About Derek? Mira studied Sasha's silk blouse, clinging to her curves. About the gift in his coat. Sasha's smile deepened. She stepped aside. Do come in. The apartment was quiet, the mop and bucket still in the corner, a relic of Myra's earlier visits. Myra's fingers itched to pick up the mop, an ironic reminder of past humiliation. Instead, she advanced to the coffee table. She drew out the lipstick tube. Explain this. Sasha sank into a velvet armchair. She regarded the cherry red lipstick as if it were a cherished photograph. He always liked the way I decorated, she said softly. Color schemes, textures. He said I had an eye for bold statements. Myra's breath caught. You decorated? Sasha nodded. A gift to me, a design consultation. He recruited me to help with the nursery. She leaned forward, her eyes bright. He loved surprises. Mira stared, torn between relief and fresh hurt. Then why hide it? Sasha's smile faltered. I don't know. She paused, as though tasting regret. Maybe he was ashamed, or afraid you'd think it construction, not love. Mira pressed her lips together. Love. Sasha's gaze softened. He told me how much you mean to him, how terrified he is of disappointing you. Myra's hand shook. Heat and rainwater dripped from her hair. And you? Sasha tilted her head. I never wanted to come between you. She rose, stepping beside Mira. I'm sorry. Myra's throat constricted. Sasha's apology felt genuine, but years of betrayal had built walls. She swallowed past the lump. Then why say those things to me? Why make me scrub your floors? Sasha ducked her head. Because I didn't know any other way to test his loyalty. I'm ashamed. Silence stretched, broken only by distant thunder. Mira clenched her purse strap. I'm about to have a baby, she whispered. I need stability, not tests. Sasha's eyes glistened. I understand. Mira took a shaky breath. This ends tonight. Sasha nodded, lips trembling. Agreed. Mira turned to go, relieved yet wary. Halfway to the door, a sharp pain ricocheted through her abdomen. She gasped, clutching her belly. Sasha lunged forward. Mira. Myra's vision blurred. My water. She collapsed to her knees as the hallway light spun. Sasha caught her wide-eyed. Footsteps thundered in the hall, just as Myra's coat ballooned beneath her. The world narrowed to pain and Sasha's stunned face. Tonight's revelations were only beginning, because now, nothing would stop the baby from coming. Chaos erupted in Sasha's hallway. Mira lay on the marble floor, warm fluid spreading beneath her. Every jolt sent shards of panic through her. Sasha hovered above her, phone pressed to her ear. 911, my housemaid's water just broke. No, I'm not cleaning, she's in labor. Sasha yelled into the receiver, frustration and fear mingling in her voice. Confusion flared. This was no longer a matter of floors or lipstick, but immediate crisis. Moments later, paramedics arrived, voices calm and efficient. One knelt beside Mira. We're going to help you, okay? He checked her vitals. Let's get you on a stretcher. Sasha tried to follow, but was gently held back by the other medic. Mira caught Sasha's eye, her hostility replaced by genuine concern. I'm sorry, Sasha whispered. I didn't know. Myra's head lolled as they lifted her. The world narrowed to flashing lights in the hallway, the paramedic's voice comforting her, and the baby's frantic kicks. In the ambulance, Mira gripped the side rail, sweat beading on her forehead. The siren wailed as it tore through the rain-soaked streets. Sasha sat in the back, her hand hovering uncertainly over Myra's arm. Stay with me, she murmured. The ride blurred by. Myra's breath came in ragged gasps. She thought of Derek. Would he hear? Would he arrive? Her fear spiked. At the hospital, they wheeled her through bustling corridors. Doctors and nurses snapped into motion. A nurse took her hand. You'll be fine. Just breathe. A doctor inserted in 4. Myra's vision tunneled. She saw Sasha's pale face leaning over her. You're going to be a great mom, Sasha said, voice shaking. The door to the delivery suite swung open. A hush fell. Derek burst in, soaked from the rain. His face crumpled when he saw Mira in the hospital gown, panting through contractions. Mira! he exclaimed, dropping to his knees. I'm here. She blinked through tears. It's happening. He took her hand, pressing his forehead to hers. Don't worry. I'm here. Suddenly, another contraction seized her. She gasped. Derek reached for support. Sasha hovered discreetly by the door, guilt and relief etched on her face. As doctors prepared her bed, Myra's water broke again, a hot gush under the bright lights. She clutched Derek's hand. Pain and anticipation roared together. He squeezed back. You're so strong. Myra gripped his fingers. It's too late for tests. His eyes stung. No more tests. Outside the delivery room, Sasha sank against the wall, head in her hands. But inside, Myra readied herself. The battle for her dignity had shifted. Now, she would fight for a new life. And as the doctor called them in, Myra knew this birth would reshape everything, marriage, friendships, and her own identity forever. Hours later, in the hushed pre-op room, Myra lay back, monitors beeping softly. She clutched Derek's hand, his palm warm and steady. Nurses bustled around, readying tools for the delivery. Myra's breath came in short bursts. Derek leaned close, brushing damp strands of hair from her forehead. Almost there, he whispered. Just a few more pushes. She nodded, eyes fluttering shut. The pain coiled in her abdomen like fire. She squeezed his hand. I love you, she gasped. He kissed her knuckles. I love you more. The nurse smiled. Okay, Myra, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Myra bore down, heart hammering. A new life beckoned. Derek's eyes filled with tears as he coached her through each contraction. Finally, the doctor announced, one more push. Myra summoned her last reserves of strength. She pushed, and a newborn cry split the air. Tears blurred her vision. Derek exhaled in relief. The doctor lifted a tiny, wriggling bundle. It's a girl, he announced. Congratulations. Myra's eyes brimmed. She reached out. The nurse placed the baby on her chest. Warm and perfect. Myra cooed, brushing her fingertip across her daughter's cheek. Behind her, Derek sniffled. She's beautiful. Myra smiled through tears. She glanced up at Derek. We did it. He nodded, eyes glistening. I'm so proud of you. Then, in a voice crackling with emotion, he added, Sasha. Myra froze, fingers tightening on the baby's swaddled blanket. What? Derek's eyes darted away. Sorry. She stared, heart plunging. You called me Sasha. He covered his mouth, horror in his gaze. I didn't mean to. Myra's world tilted. The first moments of motherhood should have been pure joy. Instead, she grappled with the sting of his slip. The baby stirred, tiny fingers curling. Myra inhaled her daughter's scent, milk, new skin. She steadied herself. No tears yet. Derek knelt, voice trembling. Myra, She held up a hand. Don't. He bowed his head, shame flooding his features. A moment of silence stretched between them. Then, Myra cradled her daughter closer, focusing on her. I forgive you, she whispered, voice soft but firm. He looked up, eyes red. Thank you. Myra murmured the baby's name, little warmth in her tone. Derek leaned in to kiss her forehead. She closed her eyes. But beneath the newborn's gentle heartbeat, Myra's mind swirled. Fault lines in their trust ran deep, and a single word could fracture everything. Behind the curtain, a nurse peeked in. Myra pressed a finger to her lips. Outside the door, footsteps echoed. Someone entered the room, tall figure with broad shoulders. Myra's heart skipped. It was Jonas. Jonas paused in the doorway, holding a bouquet of white lilies and a tiny gift bag. His eyes, steady, compassionate, rested on Myra and her newborn. He wore a crisp suit jacket, though the sleeves were rolled up, hinting at reluctance to intrude. Myra's chest tightened. Memories of childhood summers, Jonas's easy laughter, the way he always made her feel safe, flashed through her mind. Derek stiffened beside her, confusion and guilt warring on his face. Jonas crossed the room and knelt at Myra's side. He offered the lilies. Congratulations, Myra. His voice was low, genuine. Welcome to motherhood. Myra sank back against the pillows, tears pricking. She accepted the flowers with a shaking hand. The scent, pure and fresh, felt like solace. Jonas glanced at the swaddled baby. She's beautiful. Mira managed a small smile. Thank you, Jonas. Derek rose, awkward. Jonas. Jonas nodded to him, acknowledgement in his eyes. Then he turned back to Mira. How are you holding up? Myra's voice wavered. I'm okay. Jonas looked at Derek, then back at Mira. You need anything? Mira shook her head gently. No. She pressed her fingers to her temple. I needed to see a familiar face. Jonas sat on the edge of her bed. I'm here. Silence settled. Mira inhaled, drawing strength from Jonas's presence. She glanced at Derek's downcast expression, then back at Jonas. Jonas cleared his throat. I've been watching from the sidelines, Mira. Saw how he treated you. He gestured toward Derek. I'm sorry. Derek's eyes flicked up, hurt and regret. Myra's gaze shifted between them. Her heart swelled at Jonas's loyalty. Thank you for coming, she whispered. Jonas offered his hand. Can I hold her? Mira lifted the baby gently. Jonas cradled the newborn with reverence. The child blinked up at him, tiny fists curling. He met Myra's eyes. She's going to be all right. Mira exhaled, tears spilling. I hope so. Jonas turned to Derek. You need to step up. Derek nodded, shame etched in his posture. Jonas focused on Mira again. When you're ready, let's make a plan. For you too, and for her. Myra's eyes filled with determination. The room felt charged with possibility. Jonas rose, tucking the lilies into a vase on the bedside table. He placed a reassuring hand on Myra's shoulder. I'll be back tomorrow. Mira squeezed his hand. Thank you. As Jonas slipped out, leaving the door ajar, Mira rocked her daughter close. The soft hum of the hospital monitor was a lullaby. She gazed at Derek, at his tear-streaked face, and then at her baby. The past and future collided. Jonas's voice echoed in her mind. Let's make a plan. And Mira realized this was only the beginning. Jonas slid into the booth across from Mira at the quiet corner of the bakery, where she'd taken refuge with her daughter. The scent of fresh bread and sweet pastry enveloped them, but Mira barely noticed. She rocked the baby in one arm, eyes fixed on Jonas's earnest face. I've been researching, Jonas said, voice low. He set a stack of papers on the table. Rental listings with spacious living rooms, daycare recommendations, even a small business plan for Myra's favorite bakery recipe. We can make this work. Mira studied the listings. One offered a modest 2-bedroom flat near the park. Another was a studio above a cooperative cafe. Will this cover everything? She asked, tracing a finger over the monthly rent. Jonas nodded. I rearranged your savings from your maternity fund. You're set for 3 months, minimum. We'll find you both a safe place, close to good schools, and a community that'll support you. Myra's chest tightened. She remembered the nights scrubbing Sasha's marble floors, the hospital's harsh lights, Derek's lies. Now, Jonas was laying out a future she'd almost lost hope of building. She lifted her daughter and kissed her forehead. Thank you. Her voice cracked. You've done too much already. Jonas shook his head. You didn't ask me to do this. He slipped on his coat. I want to. Mira glanced down at the baby's tiny hands curled around her finger. I can't keep asking for favors. Jonas smiled gently. Consider it family duty. She looked up, eyes glistening. I need to plan how to tell him. I can't just abandon Derek without warning. Jonas leaned forward. He's made his choice. You made yours. You have every right. Mira pressed her lips together. I need time to gather my strength. And I need a letter, something that explains why I'm leaving. I want him to understand. Jonas nodded. Let's draft it tonight. He tapped the bakery's free Wi-Fi icon on his phone. I even found a template for separation letters, clear but firm. Mira smiled faintly. I don't want harsh. I want truth. He opened his laptop. Then let's write it from the heart. Mira exhaled, relief mingling with trepidation. The plan was falling into place. A new home, financial footing, a letter of departure. She glanced at her daughter, whose soft coos echoed between them. Jonas closed the laptop with a decisive click. We'll finalize everything tomorrow. Tonight, rest. Mira nodded, exhaustion washing over her. Thank you, Jonas, for standing by me. He reached across the table, covering her hand. Always. As they gathered their things, Mira felt the first flicker of hope in weeks. With a plan and a friend she could trust, she prepared to take the hardest step, leaving behind everything she knew, to build a new life for her daughter and herself. Back in her temporary apartment, Mira paced the living room, the letter on the coffee table fluttering under the overhead fan. She'd written it in neat, deliberate script, an explanation of years spent cleaning another woman's mess, the betrayal of trust, and her decision to leave with their child. Every sentence burned with honesty. She folded the letter and slipped it into a cream envelope addressed to Derek. Next, she retrieved the small jewelry store receipt and cherry red lipstick, tangible symbols of deception, and placed them alongside the envelope. Finally, she retrieved a faded photograph from the wedding album, Mira and Derek on their happiest day, smiling under a pink blossom arch. She laid the items on the dresser beside her apartment door. The note, the gifts meant for someone else, and the photo representing what she once believed. Her hands trembled. This was it. There would be no turning back. Mira knelt and gathered a few essentials into a small duffel. A change of clothes for her daughter, a blanket she'd knitted, her favorite book to read during late-night feedings, and the spare key to their shared home. She paused at the window, gazing at twinkling city lights. Her heart ached at memories of the life she was leaving behind. The baby stirred in her arms, stirring Myra's resolve. She pressed a kiss to her forehead. "We'll be okay," she whispered. She rose and walked quietly to the front door. With one final glance at the empty apartment, she slipped out, duffel slung over her shoulder. She descended the staircase, no elevator, each step echoing in the silent hallway like a countdown. At the bottom landing, she found the building's main exit. Before stepping into the cool night air, she glanced back and whispered, "Farewell." Then she pressed open the heavy glass door. Outside, the street was quiet. The taxi Jonas had arranged waited curbside. He slipped from the passenger side and opened the door. "Ready?" he asked. Mira slid in beside her daughter. "Ready." Jonas nodded. "I'll deliver this for you." He gestured to the duffel at Myra's feet, and beyond that, the envelope tucked inside Derek's key, still in the lock of their old apartment. Mira placed her hand on her heart, sealing her decision. Behind them, the door clicked shut. As the taxi pulled away, Mira watched the city blur past. In her purse, the letter rested, words that would change everything. And for the first time in months, she felt the promise of freedom and the weight of its cost. Derek returned home that evening, briefcase in hand and mind on tomorrow's pitch. He was looking forward to the quiet until he stepped inside. The apartment was unnervingly still. No laughter, no clink of dishes. The scent of jasmine lingered, but the hum of life had vanished. His gaze swept to the living room, the sofa cushions fluffed, side tables empty of mugs or magazines. In the hallway, the nursery door stood ajar, revealing a pristine crib untouched since assembly. His breath caught. He called, "Mira." His voice echoed. No answer. He dropped his keys and stalked to the bedroom door. The door was locked. He knocked urgently. "Mira, open up." No response. Panic spiked. He turned and saw something on the dresser by the front door. An envelope slashed open, a lipstick tube, and a jewelry receipt. The very items meant for Sasha. His heart lurched. He snatched the envelope and recognized his handwriting. He ripped it open. Inside, his breath hitched as he read Myra's letter, every word a dagger. Her pain, her betrayals, her decision to leave with their child. He stumbled backward, the world tilting. She had gone. He fumbled for his phone. No messages, no missed calls from her. Only his own frantic texts. "Please come back." "I'm sorry. Call me." Nothing. He ran to the living room and grabbed his coat from the rack. The hallway ceiling light flickered above him like a faulty spotlight on his failures. His mind reeled. The scrubbing floors, the silent dinners, the empty nursery. Each memory stabbed at him with regret. He dialed Derek's mother. No answer. His sister, busy tone. He tried Jonas, number unreachable. He staggered to the window and looked out at the city lights twinkling indifferently. He sank onto the sofa, the letter crumpled in his hand. Tears blurred his vision. "Mira," he whispered. "Mira, please." The apartment felt cavernous, every shadow a reminder of her absence. Her favorite mug sat in the sink, undried. His dress shoes lay by the closet untouched. The only sound was his own ragged breathing. Alone in the empty room, he finally saw his mistakes. A husband who asked his pregnant wife to serve another woman. A man who lied instead of loved, who tested loyalty instead of nurturing trust. Derek pressed the letter to his chest. "I'm sorry," he sobbed. The cold night pressed against the windows, but inside, his tears burned hotter than any rain. He vowed to find her, and to rebuild what he destroyed. But for now, the empty room bore witness to his solitude, and the daughter he had never cradled. Derek grabbed his car keys and dashed into the night. Myra's apartment address, in his phone. He dashed through rain-slicked streets, breath sharp in his lungs. His heart thundered, fear, guilt, desperation colliding in every step. He pulled up outside her building. The yellow glow of hallway lights spilled through frosted glass. He sprinted inside, ignoring the concierge's startled gaze. Up the stairs he went two at a time, adrenaline propelling him. At Myra's floor, he paused outside the door. He rapped his knuckles sharply. "Mira, open up." Silence. He pressed his ear to the door, only muffled quiet. He fumbled with the key. Stella, no. The spare she'd given him, still on his keyring. He inserted it and turned. The lock clicked, but the door wouldn't budge. Locked from inside. He pounded the door, voice cracking. "Please, Mira." When no one answered, panic turned to dread. He ripped the key free and sprinted down. Outside, rainfall blurred neon signs. He flagged down a taxi. "Airport," he gasped. "Now." The driver shot him a look, but nodded. They tore through the city. Derek recited every address Mira had ever mentioned. Jonas's place, her parents, the boutique where she shopped, the bakeries she frequented. The driver hesitated, but Derek pressed on. "I'll pay anything." They arrived at the first bakery. Derek jumped out, scanning inside. No Mira. He rushed to the next, handing cash for a coffee to fund his search. Each place closed its doors in his face. His phone pinged. A missed call from Jonas. Relief flared. He dialed back, but went to voicemail. He left a trembling message. "Please, where is she? I'm sorry. I love her." He swallowed bile as the taxi hurtled him onward. He repeated her name like a prayer. Hours passed. He retraced every step, every favor gone wrong. By dawn, his feet ached, his coat drenched. He collapsed on a curb outside the park where Mira once strolled with the baby. He cradled the letter, now soggy at the edges. Tears streaked his face. He whispered into the damp air, "Mira, please." Soon, the city awoke around him. Commuters rushed by, oblivious to the man broken on the pavement. And in that moment, Derek realized, his chase had only begun. Weeks later, a bleary-eyed Derek approached Sasha's apartment door. Once a den of betrayal, now simply another address. He pressed the buzzer with trembling fingers. Sasha's voice crackled through. "Can I help you?" He swallowed. "It's Derek. I need to talk." The door swung open. Sasha's face was calm but distant. "I'm not who you think I am anymore." He stepped inside, gaze sweeping the minimalist decor. "I came to ask." Sasha held up a hand. "Don't." She wore no makeup. Her eyes were red-rimmed, hollow. "I'm moving on." He blinked. "Moving on." She folded her arms. "I'm bored, Derek. Bored of covering for your lies. Bored of playing second fiddle to a marriage you never valued." His chest tightened. But I love her." Sasha chuckled bitterly. "You said that to me too." He frowned. "You deserve an explanation." She shook her head. "I don't want one. You'll find her when she wants you to." He took a step closer. "I need to know. Why did you help me lie?" Sasha stared, expression unreadable. "I thought I was doing you a favor." He closed his eyes. "And now?" She exhaled. "I'm tired of favors. I'm leaving this city next month. New job, new life." His heart sank. "Nothing left between us?" Sasha hesitated, then shook her head. "I gave you a chance to choose me. You chose her. His throat burned. I wanted both. She smiled sadly. You got neither. She backed toward the door. Good luck, Derek. She closed it, the click echoing like a final verdict. Alone in the apartment, Derek felt the walls close in. No wife, no mistress, no one but his own regret. He sank to the floor amid scattered receipts and empty champagne glasses. Outside, the city lights glittered indifferently. Derek pressed his forehead to the cool wall, the letter from Mira still clutched in his hand. He realized that chasing both women had cost him everything. His world had finally emptied, except for the echo of Myra's last words and the memory of a daughter he might never see again. In the silence, he whispered, I'm sorry, and waited for an answer that would never come. Derek groaned awake to the harsh buzz of his phone. He squinted at the screen. Bank alert. His heart sank before he even answered. The woman's voice on the line was clipped. Mr. Hayes, your primary account has been frozen due to insufficient funds. You've exceeded your overdraft limit and have several pending payments. Heat rose to his cheeks. How had it come to this? Only weeks ago, he'd commanded corner office meetings in sleek suits. Now bills clamored for attention. Rent, utilities, hospital fees, even the baby's future college fund. Each demand felt like another weight dragging him toward ruin. He pinched the bridge of his nose, trying to steady his racing mind. He called his bank manager directly, voice rough with panic. Lisa, what happened? He paced the living room of the modest flat Jonas had arranged. The walls were bare, echoing his solitude. Mr. Hayes, you missed 3 mortgage payments on your primary residence, the manager explained. We've issued notices. Late fees have piled up. We had no choice but to freeze your account. The line crackled as he processed the news. Mortgage, he whispered. His hand shook. The home he shared with Mira and their child, his last refuge, was now in jeopardy. He slammed his fist against the wall and sank to the floor. Frantically, Derek rummaged through folders for recent statements, receipts, proof of a mistake. Every paper confirmed it. Collection notices, bounced checks, defaulted loans. His pockets were empty of recourse. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he realized his blind spot. He pursued corporate glory while neglecting the foundations of his home. Now failure loomed. He pictured Myra's face when she read the bank's final letter. Betrayal and heartbreak reflected in her eyes. Guilt and shame churned inside him like toxic sludge. He had become the architect of his own collapse. In desperation, Derek dialed Jonas. This time, his voice was stripped of pride. I need help, financially, legally. I don't know what to do. He listened as Jonas outlined a brutal plan. Trim expenses, consolidate debt, negotiate with creditors, and potentially sell off assets. Jonas promised to speak with lenders on his behalf and help draft forbearance requests. Derek felt both gratitude and deep remorse. He had taken his friend's loyalty for granted, assuming support would be unconditional. Now he was begging for a lifeline. The bank's voicemail pinged again, another notice. He pressed delete. Enough. He had to act swiftly. Logging onto his laptop, he drafted emails to mortgage brokers, creditors, and even his firm's HR department to negotiate deferred payments. Each keystroke was a step toward redemption. A reply arrived by evening. We can arrange a forbearance program. Derek exhaled, relieved but sobered by how far he had fallen, and how much he had to rebuild. As dusk settled, he surveyed his sparsely furnished living room. No photographs on the walls, no echo of laughter, only his resolve. He whispered into the heavy silence, I'm sorry, Mira. I'll fix this. He straightened his shoulders, folding the mortgage statements into a neat stack. Tomorrow, he would meet with the bank, sign papers, and restructure his finances. No more excuses, no more hiding behind power suits and boardroom facades. He would rebuild, not for wealth, but for his family's survival. In the quiet aftermath of crisis, Derek found a fragile clarity. Failure had shown him what truly mattered. Derek wandered aimlessly through the neighborhood he once dismissed as too quaint for his tastes. Streetlights danced on wet pavement, and a single glow caught his eye, a small bakery sign swaying over a glass door. It read, Mira and Baby, baked from scratch. His breath caught. Those hand-painted letters spoke of hope and triumph, the humble legacy of his wife's talent. Rain reflected the sign, making it appear suspended in midair like a beacon. For the first time in weeks, Derek felt compelled by something other than boardroom profits. This glow called to him. He pushed open the door and was greeted by the warm aroma of fresh bread, pastries, and cinnamon. Gone were catered lunches and stiff uniforms. Instead, soft chatter filled the air. Rustic wooden tables held hosts of treats. Myra's multigrain loaf, baby's first cupcakes, handwritten in chalk. A barista with a flour-dusted apron handed him a hot espresso. "On the house," she said kindly. "You must be Mr. Hayes, Myra's husband? She talks about you sometimes." Derek's heart ached as he wrapped his hands around the mug. Lifting the espresso to his lips, he savored the rich steam. Around him, patrons sifted through magazines and savored flaky scones. A father wiped icing from his daughter's face. A couple shared a warm roll. Each scene underscored the bakery's role in this community, a far cry from his own isolation. He felt the sting of regret. He had forfeited the chance to be part of this everyday joy. He closed his eyes, inhaling the sweet warmth, and silently vowed to reclaim his place. Gingerly, he approached the counter. The baker measuring dough paused and looked up, eyes curious. "Can I help you?" she asked, voice soft like kneaded butter. Derek's throat tightened. I'm looking for Mira." The baker's face lit with recognition. "She's in the back by the ovens." She pointed through an archway into a flour-dusted kitchen, where dough clattered on marble countertops. Derek's pulse raced. Vulnerability was unfamiliar territory. Mira glanced up as the oven timer dinged. She wiped her hands on her apron and stepped into the display area. When her eyes met his, surprise flickered across her features, quickly replaced by guarded composure. She approached, hands still dusted with flour. The plaque around her neck bore a logo, a rolling pin crossing a baby's rattle. "Derek," she said quietly, "what are you doing here?" His voice shook. "I saw the sign. I needed to see where my life and yours went." Mira studied him, cautious yet curious. "This is my life now," she replied softly. "This bakery is ours." She swept her arm to encompass the ovens, the customers, the warmth. Derek swallowed hard. "I'm proud of you," he whispered, emotion thick in his throat. Tears shimmered in her eyes. "I needed to see it with my own eyes." She hesitated, then offered, "If you want to help, we could use someone to make deliveries once in a while." Relief flooded him. "Anything," he said, voice determined. Outside, the sign glowed brighter as dusk settled, a beacon of renewed hope for their future together. Each afternoon at closing time, Derek felt an irresistible pull toward the bakery. He would pause on the sidewalk, peering through the large display window at Mira, packing the last pastries into baskets. The golden interior glow lit her dark silhouette, and steam danced around her like a living thing. Above the sign, Mira and Baby, baked from scratch, offered a silent invitation. He remained an outsider, observing a life he nearly destroyed. Yet these stolen glimpses made him feel connected, hopeful that he might one day belong again. One afternoon, he watched as Mira crouched beside a small table, guiding a little girl through rolling cookie dough. The child giggled, flour swirling in the air like snow. Myra's dark eyes sparkled with patience and warmth, qualities Derek had overlooked in his single-minded pursuit of success. Her gentle encouragement transformed flour and sugar into joy. In that moment, he saw not just a baker, but a nurturer, a teacher, a mother. He realized the bakery was more than her livelihood. It was her sanctuary and her stage for kindness. Through the glass, Derek noticed customers greeting Mira with hugs and smiles. She exchanged stories and laughter with regulars, who treated her like family. Shadows of their painful past seemed to dissipate behind the display shelves. In that light, she had become a beacon of resilience, flower-streaked apron and Baby's laughter forming the chorus of her renewal. Through the window, he glimpsed her autonomy and yearned to step across that invisible barrier as her partner, not her burden. On a drizzly afternoon, he arrived as usual, only to see Mira step onto the sidewalk. Clutching their daughter in a sling, She held a tray of fresh bread loaves, offering free samples to passers-by. Her radiant smile melted his uncertainty. Neighbors accepted the loaves with gratitude, laughter echoing down the wet street. Then she looked up, spotting him behind the glass. Her brow furrowed with surprise and compassion. She waved him forward, his invitation to cross the divide. Drenched, Derek pushed open the door and entered. The blast of warm air and the scent of yeast enveloped him. Mira closed the door behind with a gentle click. She removed her apron and shook rain from her hair, dark curls clinging to her forehead. "You're here again," she said softly, concern in her voice. He nodded, voice thick. I wanted to be part of this." He gestured toward the ovens, anticipating rejection, but her lips curved. "Watching is nice," she replied, "but true work happens inside." He stepped past the counter into the kitchen's warm glow. "May I help?" he asked, heart pounding. Mira hesitated briefly, then handed him the tray of loaves. "Let's feed our neighbors," she said. Together, they worked side by side, kneading dough, loading trays, sharing smiles. With each movement, the barrier of glass and past mistakes dissolved. In the hum of the bakery, flour dust settling like grace, Derek realized their future would be built one loaf at a time, together, open to the world beyond. Months rolled by as the bakery thrived under Myra's creative leadership and Derek's steadfast support. Each dawn, he arrived early to prepare dough and steam milk for the growing line of regulars. Neighbors greeted him with knowing smiles, their acceptance a salve for his wounded pride. Yet despite his efforts, Mira maintained a gentle reserve, her dark eyes searching his for sincerity. Was his devotion genuine or just another fleeting pledge? As the morning sun cast long shadows through the windows, Derek resolved to prove himself beyond doubt. He would make one last, earnest plea for her love. That evening, after the last cinnamon rolls had sold and the ovens cooled to embers, Derek found Mira in the back storage room, shelving flour sacks. He drew a deep breath and knelt before her. She froze, spoon in hand. He placed a small, worn box on the table. "I know I shattered your trust," he began, voice trembling. "I let ambition blind me and hurt you when you needed me most. I love you, Mira, and I can't imagine my life without you and our daughter." His dark eyes glistened in the dim light. "Please, take me back." Time seemed to halt. Myra's hand stilled. Their daughter's soft coo drifted through the adjoining door, a tender reminder of all they stood to lose. She met his gaze, earnest, vulnerable, stripped of pretension. Yet memories of scraped hands on marble floors and nights spent in empty rooms echoed between them. "You used me," she whispered. "I scrubbed floors for another woman while you abandoned me." Her voice cracked. "How can I trust you again?" Derek rose, stepping closer. He opened the box. Inside lay two simple silver pendants, interlocking rings, one plain, one engraved with their wedding date. "I commissioned these," he said, lifting the pieces into the dim light. "A promise for each of us, reminders that once we chose each other over everything." From his coat, he produced documents, proof of mortgage restructuring, the bakery's financial plan, and a will naming their daughter sole heir. "I'm committed," he whispered, "to honesty, to you, to our family." Tears brimmed in Myra's eyes as she reached for the pendant. Tracing the engraving, June 15th, 2023, she felt the weight of their journey. Vows exchanged, betrayals endured, love tested. The pain had etched scars, but his humility and persistence spoke of genuine change. She swallowed hard. "It's so hard," she admitted. "I need time." Derek nodded, slipping the pendants around her neck and gently clasping her hand. "Take all the time you need. I'll prove myself every day." He embraced her, careful not to startle their sleeping child. Outside, the bakery sign glowed through the dusk, a silent witness to their renewal. Mira pressed her cheek against his shoulder, inhaling the familiar scent of his coat and hope. Tonight, forgiveness hovered like a fragile bloom, waiting for nurturing. Tomorrow, they would begin their new chapter together, one mindful step at a time. One crisp autumn morning, exactly 1 year after Myra's water broke in Sasha's hallway, Derek stood outside the bakery door, hand in hand with their toddling daughter. She wore a tiny apron and giggled as she bounced on her father's feet. Mira emerged with a fresh sourdough loaf in each hand, her dark eyes alight with joy. The glass door framed their family in a perfect tableau, no longer a barrier of fear, but a gateway to shared dreams. Together, they paused the bakery sign, Mira and Baby, baked from scratch, flickering above them, a testament to resilience and renewal. Inside, the bakery pulsed with warmth and laughter. Balloons bobbed beneath a banner reading, First Anniversary, and neighbors sampled honey-glazed rolls with enthusiastic praise. Mira greeted each patron by name, while Derek handed out cupcakes with their daughter perched on his hip. The community's embrace felt like an extended family, each face reflecting pride in what Mira had built. Every slice of bread, every shared smile, spoke of challenges overcome and bonds reforged. After the rush, Mira and Derek slipped into the back room. She poured steaming cider as he watched dough rise under a damp cloth. They sat side by side, shoulders brushing. "Remember that first morning?" Derek murmured, eyes on her. "When your water broke and our worlds collapsed." She smiled through tears. "I thought it was the end." He lifted his cup. "It was the beginning." She nodded, voice soft. "One loaf at a time." They clinked mugs in quiet celebration. As twilight stretched its fingers across the street, Mira rose to sweep the entrance. Derek followed, brushing crumbs from the glass. He knelt to buckle their daughter into her stroller, and then rose to open the door. A gentle breeze carried the scent of bread and possibility. Outside, their daughter waved to a passing dog. Mira stepped through the threshold to greet her, and Derek closed the door with a deliberate click. No rush, no fear, only confidence. Mira glanced at the bustling street. Children on scooters, couples strolling arm in arm, a musician tuning his guitar on the corner. The world welcomed them. She turned back to Derek, gratitude in her eyes. "I used to dread closing that door," she whispered. He smiled and brushed a stray lock from her forehead. "Now, I can't wait to open it each morning." Their daughter clapped with delight as the sign's glow reflected in her eyes. As they locked up for the night, Mira tested the key in the glass door. It turned smoothly and clicked into place behind them, sealing in laughter, warmth, and unwavering love. Hand in hand, they walked down the lantern-lit street, the bakery's lights still framing their silhouettes. The door remained closed, for now, an emblem of security, endurance, and the unspoken promise. Whatever tomorrow held, they would face it together. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please like, comment, and share. Also turn on the bell to get more of our videos. See you in the next story.